Welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right back to the year 1955 to crack open two massive biological mysteries. These were discoveries that completely flipped our understanding of life upside down and honestly changed modern medicine forever. We're going to dive into microscopic factories, some truly impossible math, and the brilliant minds who finally cracked the code of our cells. Let's get into it.
So back in the mid-1950s, scientists knew one fundamental truth for absolutely sure. Every living cell somehow pumped out proteins. And these proteins? They did everything. They were the microscopic machines building our muscles, digesting our food, fighting off infections, even helping us form thoughts. But there was this one glaring, giant question that was just haunting the scientific community. Who exactly is making all these proteins? Biologists were basically looking at this massive, bustling factory where products were flying off the assembly line 24/7, but there was a catch. Nobody had ever actually seen the workers. They were completely invisible.
Naturally, the hunt to find these invisible workers was intense. Researchers started peering deeper and deeper into cells using the absolute cutting-edge tech of the day, the electron microscope. One of these pioneers was a brilliant Romanian-American cell biologist named George Emil Palade. While he was carefully looking at these incredibly thin slices of cells, Palade noticed something pretty extraordinary. Staring through the microscope, he saw thousands, actually scratch that, millions, of these tiny, mysterious dark dots just blanketing the inside of the cell. Some were free-floating in the cellular fluid, while others were clinging to internal structures, kind of looking like tiny pearls on a string. Nobody had a clue what these things were, but after studying them obsessively for years, Palade made a huge leap. He proposed, these tiny particles must be the places where proteins are made. And, spoiler alert, he hit the nail right on the head. That single realization would go on to earn him the Nobel Prize.
Palade's mysterious little dark dots finally got a proper name, ribosomes, and they are, quite literally, the microscopic protein factories of life. They're the ultimate builders. Without ribosomes, you'd have no enzymes to process your food, no hormones to balance your moods, no antibodies to fight off that cold, and no muscles to even move your body. Simply put, without them, there is no life. The discovery of these structures was a real game-changer for biology because, finally, scientists had found the elusive workers inside the factory.
To really wrap our heads around how these invisible workers do their thing, let's picture a living cell as a giant, bustling city. Think of your DNA as the master library. It holds every single blueprint needed to run the entire city. The nucleus? That's City Hall, a heavily guarded fortress protecting that library. Now, messenger RNA, or mRNA, acts as a courier. It sprints out of City Hall carrying a fresh photocopy of those instructions. But here's the thing, the courier doesn't actually build anything. The courier just rushes those instructions straight over to the ribosomes. The ribosomes are the central manufacturing plants. They take the blueprints, roll up their sleeves, and actually build the final products. Okay, so how does this whole assembly line actually work millions of times a minute inside you? Well, first off, the DNA stores the instructions. Second, the mRNA grabs a copy and rushes it to the ribosome. Third, picture the ribosome acting like a barcode scanner, reading the mRNA 3 chemical bases at a time, which we call a codon. Fourth, another molecule, transfer RNA or tRNA, swoops in carrying the exact right amino acid that matches that specific codon. Fifth, the ribosome tirelessly links these amino acids together one by one by one, like popping beads onto a string to create a growing chain. And finally, step 6, the finished protein folds up into its perfect, functional shape and zips off to do its job. It is just an absolute masterpiece of engineering.
But right as biologists were celebrating having finally figured out how these factories worked, they ran face-first into a second massive puzzle. When researchers started trying to isolate and purify these ribosomes to really study their structure, they hit a mathematical equation that seemed to literally break the basic laws of arithmetic. Get this, 50 plus 30 equals 70. Now, if you're thinking, wait, that makes absolutely no sense, don't worry, the scientists back in the 50s felt the exact same way.
Here is what was melting everyone's brains. While analyzing bacterial ribosomes, researchers found the whole intact ribosome had a measurement designated as 70S. But this 70S ribosome was actually made of two separate pieces that snapped together. It had a large subunit measured at 50S and a small subunit measured at 30S. You put the 50S part and the 30S part together and boom, you somehow get a 70S ribosome. Naturally, everybody just assumed these numbers were physical weights, but if it's weight, 50 plus 30 is 80, not 70. So to figure out why 50 plus 30 equals 70, we really have to look at what that mysterious letter S actually stands for.
The answer to this crazy math brings us to a Swedish chemist named Theodor Swedberg. Swedberg invented an absolutely mind-blowing machine called the ultracentrifuge. To study these tiny particles, scientists would put cellular material into tubes, drop them into this machine, and spin them at unbelievable speeds. We're talking sometimes over 100,000 revolutions per minute. To put that into perspective, imagine sitting on a carnival ride that is spinning thousands of times faster than your washing machine on its most intense spin cycle. Under all that immense centrifugal force, particles in the liquid are slammed down to the bottom of the tube. Heavy stuff sinks fast, while the smaller stuff sinks a lot slower.
So Swedberg figured out he could precisely measure just how fast different particles settle during this intense spinning. And here is the crucial takeaway. This measurement became known as the Swedberg unit, abbreviated as S. A Swedberg unit is absolutely not a measure of size, and it's definitely not a measure of weight. It is strictly a measure of how fast a particle sediments, or settles, while being spun in that centrifuge.
And honestly, that explains exactly why the math seems so broken. You see, the speed at which a particle sinks in an ultracentrifuge isn't just about how heavy it is. It's a complex mix of its size, mass, density, and crucially, its shape and the friction it creates with the liquid around it. When that 50s large subunit and the 30s small subunit physically click together, they don't just magically gain weight. They form a totally new three-dimensional shape. This new combined shape experiences entirely different friction and drag as it moves through the liquid. It behaves as a completely new particle. And that is exactly why Swedberg values can't just be added up like weights on a bathroom scale.
Now you might be wondering, why are we digging so deep into this microscopic math? Well, because scientists soon noticed a really fascinating structural difference across different types of life. Bacterial ribosomes are 70s, made of those 50s and 30s subunits we just talked about. They are incredibly good at churning out proteins to keep bacteria alive. But human cells, along with animals, plants, and fungi, we have slightly larger, more complex ribosomes. Ours are 80s, made of a 60s large subunit and a 40s small one. They both do the exact same job, building the proteins we need to grow and repair. But structurally, they are distinctly different.
Now, this might just sound like a neat bit of biology trivia to pull out at a dinner party, but I promise you, it is so much more than that. This tiny, microscopic difference between a 70s bacterial ribosome and an 80s human ribosome literally changed medicine forever. It's easily one of the most critical discoveries for human health in the entire 20th century.
Because here is the massive, life-saving payoff. Since bacterial 70s factories are physically shaped differently than our human 80s factories, scientists realized they could design drugs to exploit that exact weakness. Many modern antibiotics are specifically engineered to seek out and jam up only the 70s ribosomes. When the antibiotic hits, it completely wrecks the bacterial assembly line, shutting down the factory and killing the infection. But because our own human 80s ribosomes have a totally different shape, the antibiotic just passes right on by, leaving our cellular factories completely safe and untouched. That weird little microscopic difference in the Swedberg math? That's exactly why you can swallow a pill that annihilates a deadly bacterial infection without destroying your own cells in the process.
You know, it's honestly hard to even wrap your mind around the scale of this whole shebang. A single ribosome is only about 20 to 30 nanometers across. To give you an idea of just how small that is, a single thin piece of paper is about 100,000 nanometers thick. Yet these incredibly tiny, 20-nanometer molecular machines are the absolute unsung heroes of your life. Every heartbeat, every single breath you take, every thought bouncing around your head right now depends entirely on the proteins built by these tireless little workers. Without them, your DNA would just be a silent library full of unread books. Thanks to the relentless curiosity of scientists like Palade and Swedberg, we finally uncovered this microscopic factory that translates the dead text of our genes into the living, breathing machinery of life itself.
Which brings us to a final thought to wrap up this explainer. We've just seen how understanding a truly bizarre mathematical quirk about a microscopic factory ended up unlocking one of the greatest weapons we have against disease. It really makes you wonder, if a 20-nanometer machine holds the literal difference between life and death, what other medical miracles are currently hiding out there just waiting to be discovered in the microscopic math of our cells?